Doctor Who, Time and the Rani, the first story of the Seventh Doctor, is written by Pip and Jane Baker and starring Sylvester McCoy and Bonnie Langford. So yeah, Colin Baker, the Sixth Doctor, has signed a contract to do 4 years. Starting from 1985, he's been wanting to beat Tom Baker's record, but the show almost got cancelled by Michael Grade, who was the head of BBC at the time, as you guys might have guessed why.
So why did you cancel the show?
I thought it was rubbish. I thought it was pathetic.
However, John Nathan Turner managed to save it, but unfortunately Colin is to be replaced as Michael sacked him. So Colin got offered to film his regeneration scene, but he turned it down, which I don't blame him. He must be devastated. If alternatively Colin did it, it would be a 4-parter story, and it would explain how the Doctor met Mel. The casting for the Seventh Doctor could be played by a woman such as Joanna Lumley, Dawn French, or Frances de la Tour. So as Michael Grade, Sidney Newman and Jonathan Powell, head of drama, went in for the meeting despite not getting along, nothing came out of their meeting. Dermot Crowley and David Fielder auditioned for the role, and Andrew Sachs was offered but turned it down, which he later regretted. Ken Campbell was considered, but they said he's too dark for the series. So it was going to go for Chris Jury, but he played Kingpin in The Greatest Show in the Galaxy. Was unaware that he's been listed for the next titular protagonist. So eventually it went to Percy James Patrick Ken Smith, aka Sylvester McCoy. He auditioned, including a read-through. His costume took a little bit of inspiration of Patrick Troughton, who sadly passed away 6 months before part 4 of the story came out, with their checkered trousers and braces. He wore a creamy jacket with scarf around it, handkerchief in his pocket, 1930s shoes, tie, fob watch, waistcoat, and shirts with question marks, and Sylvester McCoy was wearing a hat when he came in, so they let him wear a hat, and yeah, he suggested an umbrella with a question mark, and we get an iconic Seventh Doctor, very creative design. John Nathan Turner thought it was about time for logo to change, and it took Starfield away. They got the Seventh Doctor blink and smile on the title sequence, which I think it's a great design. So the story was going to be Strange Matter, but obviously changed to Time and the Rani. So the story begins with lasers shooting at the TARDIS with the Doctor and Mel unconscious. And the TARDIS fell into the planet Lacertia with a tractor beam, being watched by Icona. So Rani and Urich broke in and demanded to leave Mel and bring the Doctor while he's regenerating into the Seventh Doctor. And I know we can briefly see Sylvester McCoy's face in the blonde wig, which I don't see it as a mistake. I see it as the middle of regeneration process, and his face is morphing through. We get a nice title sequence, the first one using CGI with Sylvester McCoy's face painted silver, and love the theme. While Rani is being abusive to Son, putting Albert Einstein into the machine, she went to the room where the Doctor woke up, which is a great scene.
That was a nice nap. Now, down to business. I'm a bit worried about the temporal flicker in Sector 13.
So the Doctor sees Rani's plans kept falling due to his regeneration side effects. Son was trying to help her, but Rani threatened her, making Son to escape. As the Doctor is about to smash a computer with his umbrella, Urich came in to stung him. Meanwhile, Icona carried Mel from the TARDIS, so later she woke up and tried to run from him. As Son is escaping, she got caught up in those explosive bubble traps, which is upsetting to sit through because I like Son. So Icona thinks Mel is with the Tetrabs because she's not a Lacertian. So after the conversation, Mel managed to save Icona from those bubble traps, so then he realises Mel isn't part of a Tetrap. While they hide from them, the Doctor woke up with amnesia. Rani disguised herself as Mel, which is quite uncanny. She gets the Doctor to work on a damaged machinery in the lab. And I do like what the Doctor does with the spoons. I don't even know how to do it. Must have taken a lot of practices. So the Doctor needed a fresh air, so him and Rani went to the TARDIS. The Doctor changes his clothes, which includes his previous incarnation's outfit. So after opening Patrick Troughton's fur coat, his new outfit reveals and Ronnie likes it. So while Mel is separated from Icona to look for the doctor, Ronnie sees her on the scanner telling the doctor that's Ronnie. So Mel gets caught up in those bubble traps pretty intense because that looks pretty lethal. Luckily it landed in the sea as Icona was about to take that tube out. The explosion gave me a fright. I literally thought that's the end of Mel for a second, but I realised it was the machine that the doctor is working on, while still unaware that he's with Ronnie. But he's also wondering why Ronnie's wearing the same clothes as Mel, wandering around the planet's surface, which is obviously Mel. So Icona saved Mel and ran into Faroon after telling her it was Son, that skeleton lying around. She's pretty devastated. It's a sad scene. While Ronnie went out to get the mineral plate to replace the broken one from her TARDIS, Mel went in the HQ and the Doctor and Mel fighting each other as they struggle to know each other. As they're feeling pulses, Mel realises it's the Doctor who regenerated, and the Doctor realises it's Mel.
Yes. I've become more of a fool too, it seems, Mel.
Bayer says the number of code to open the door, which is the same age as the Doctor, as he thinks, but it's also Ronnie's age as well. It's also pretty funny when Urich shot Ronnie for mistaking identity. So as Ronnie came back with mineral plate, Mel, Bayes and Maroon got out. Bayes stayed behind while Mel and Maroon went out in the planet's surface. So after replacing the mineral plate, Ronnie pressed the button which changes the lighting. Ronnie is ready to take the Doctor to a giant brain, which is behind the door. After Ronnie revealed herself, the Doctor tackled her and escaped. We get a scary cliffhanger where the Doctor is surrounded by tetraps in the cave. I do love Sylvester McCoy as the 7th Doctor. I do think he's brilliant and cunning. As I've already mentioned, I've met Sylvester McCoy back in 2014 at Newcastle Comic Con. Him and Paul McGann are nice guys. And I also loved Bonnie Langford as Melanie Bush. She's sassy, pretty, computer genius, and great friendship to the Doctor. Acting is great, especially the screaming, which makes it feel real and more like horror. I also met her at Comic Con back in 2015, and she's nice as well. And that's where I heard about her appearing in EastEnders. When I was watching it with my mates as they liked the show, and I was like, I've met that actress! And I wasn't sure if they believed me. Kate O'Mara played the Ronnie, well, the first Ronnie, a renegade time lady from Gallifrey, who knew the Doctor and Master since they were young. She pulls it off really well. Even Sylvester thought she was terrifying. I'd love to see Ronnie coming back. Sadly, Kate won't be able to come back as Ronnie. Tetraps are like humanoid bats from the planet Tetrabiarborus. I thought they're pretty scary. Should bring them back. Richard Gauntlett played Urich, but he also voiced by Anthony Keach. Urich is the leader of Tetraps, serving Ronnie for a while until the end, which I'll talk about it then. Mark Greenstreet played Icona, a Lacertian who's rebellious against Ronnie. Donald Pickering played Bayes, the leader of the Lacertian race until he dies, leaving Icona as a leader. Bayes' wife, Faroon, is played by Wanda Ventham, one of those Lacertian who's on the run. Maroon's daughter, Lovely Son, played by Karen Clegg, who cares for other species as well as hers. She gets mistreated by Ronnie and sadly dies while trying to escape. John Siegel played Lanisha, the brother of Icona. Tom O'Leary played Albert Einstein, a genius who's known for devising his theory of relativity. He's later played by Nicholas Grace in the 4-minute episode Death is the Only Answer, alongside Matt Smith. Casts did an excellent job. The effects is nicely done for its time and low budget. The music by Keith McCulloch is fantastic. So the Doctor tries to reason with Tetraps, but luckily he's rescued by Bayes. So after the Doctor removed an item and left after a brief fight with Bayes, Ronnie set the alarm and the Doctor almost stood on a trap, and it's lucky that Icona is there in time to stop the Doctor from being killed and gets taken to Centre of Leisure full of Lacertians. Apparently Bayes ordered Lanisha to have nothing to do with Icona, so Ronnie releases killer insects to kill some of Lacertians, including Lanisha. So Faroon came in to give the Doctor a message about returning the item, and Ronnie will give Mel back to the Doctor. So as he and Icona went down to the surface and met up with Urich and Mel revealed to be a hologram which made the Doctor kicking off. so he goes to the HQ and Tetraps put him to sleep. As Mel discovers a big brain, which is a fantastic design of model, it looks real. Ronnie drags her out, the doctor is placed into the machine, it turns on to feed the brain with the genius's intelligence. Sadly, Mel and Bayes couldn't save him. And we get a funny moment when the brain is letting out funny puns which annoyed Ronnie. So eventually the doctor is free. He and Mel got the Ronnie inside the case and locked her in. So they had a look at the brain and then they saw on screen a supernova. As Bayes set Ronnie free and got to the doctor and Mel, we learn that she's turning the planet Lacutia into Time Manipulator. So the doctor and Mel locked Ronnie in the room and had a fight with Urich. Mel stung him and they ran off. After Bayes helped Urich, he let Ronnie go. So then Ronnie and Urich went to her TARDIS. After all geniuses are set free, Bayes sacrificed himself to destroy the brain and delay the launch to miss the asteroid. So as the doctor and Mel says goodbye to Lacurtians, and apparently they have to solve their own problems, which is why Icona poured the antidote on the ground. So the doctor drops everyone but Mel, obviously, back where they're from, while Ronnie is in her TARDIS full of Tetraps and gets taken to their planet. I like the story, great start for the 7th Doctor. What did you think of this story? Drop your thoughts on the comments down below. Thanks people as always for watching, and see you in the next video.